All right, this portion of the review is the No Calculator review. Just like we did in class, this is just the adding and subtracting, negatives, decimals, and whatnot. Okay, so number one, which of the following expressions is equivalent to the expression at the right? Remember how whenever we talked about subtracting, we can always change that to plus, and then we change the sign of whatever is behind that. So my 3.2 is going to stay positive. My sign's going to change to a plus, but then the 7.8 will change signs, which would make that a negative 7.8, and that makes A the correct answer for number one. Number two, which of the following is not true about the number line? I can see here, C looks like it's about at -5, between 0 and -10. So again, we're looking for the one that is not true. So make sure and read that carefully. On this one, we can see that A is the correct answer here. The opposite of point C is negative. The opposite would be a +5. So it's already negative. That is definitely not a true statement. Number two. Number three, we are solving. So this is one we're actually going to put into practice what we did there on number one. I can rewrite this as negative 13.0 plus a negative 5.2. And the reason why we like to do that is simply to make those rules a little more straightforward. All of our adding and subtracting with negatives rules, if you can basically change it to a plus, we can see that the signs are the same, right? They're both negative signs, so we know we're actually going to add those two numbers together, 13 plus 5.2, but the sign of my solution will be a negative number. So here the answer is negative 18.2. Number four, I will have to find a common denominator. I know the common denominator between 5 and 10 is going to be 10, so that negative 3/10 is going to stay the same. I'm not going to change that. But this needs to change to a 10. So the rule is, of course, if I need to multiply that times 2 to make it a 10, I'm going to do the same thing to the numerator. It is a negative, so be careful with that. That's going to be a negative 8/10. So really all I'm doing is adding. Again, the signs are the same. So we'll add negative 8 plus negative 3, which would be a negative 11/10. That is the reduced improper fraction. The correct mixed number would be negative 1 1/10. Number 5, again with the negatives. Now this time our signs are different. I have a positive and a negative, so I actually need to subtract those. Also, we talked about how, remember, if you need to line them up this way, that's, totally fine if you need to do that. Let's see, that's going to give me what, 14.8. And my answer will be a positive. When the signs are different, I subtract, which is exactly what I did, but you always take the sign of the larger number. In this case, that would be 17. We wrote these rules down several times. Hopefully you still have your notes. The answer again is positive 14.8. That's number 5. Number 6, which of the following best describes the solution? Remember how we talked about this is multiplication. I know that looks like a minus sign, but that's negative 2/8 times negative 4/6. So we know the answer is going to be a positive. The rules for adding and subtracting are different from multiplying and dividing. Please go back and review your notes for those rules that we wrote down. This particular one is the becauses that you have to be careful with. So a negative times a negative is a positive. The correct answer here is D. It's because there are two negative signs. It is not because both of the fractions are even. B is not the correct answer. Number 7, 5 friends are going to lunch. The total bill is $81.50, and they're going to split it evenly. So I'm going to have to divide here. 5 will go into $81.50. I'm going to go ahead and bring my decimal up. 5 will go into 8 one time. Going to bring that 1 down. 5 will go into 31 6 times. Subtract, bring that 5 down. 5 will go into 15 3 times. And that is the end of my division problem because I'm now at 0. So 1630 is the amount that I get But if you read the question carefully, it says, what effect will the cost of lunch have on each of their bank accounts? Obviously, we're spending money here. So the correct answer would be B. It would be a negative $16.30. Number 8, which of the following situations combine to make 0? Remember, in order to do that, they have to be the same value but opposites. The correct answer to 8 is A. Right, if you gain 15 yards and lose 15 yards, you're back at that original line of scrimmage, so definitely A on that one. The reason B is not is simply because she only paid back half that amount. Number 9, dividing fractions. Everybody's favorite. This is keep, change, flip, guys. That is a negative 5 over 6, so I'm going to keep my first fraction, change my division to multiplication, and find the reciprocal of 1 over 4, which is 4 over 1. We talked about how you can reduce first and then multiply, or multiply and then reduce. I think overwhelmingly you guys chose to multiply first, so that's going to give me a negative 20 over 6. I am going to reduce. I can divide both of these by 2. I can reduce both of them by a factor of 2. So that's going to give me a negative 10 over 3. Be careful, that is not A. I need to write that as a mixed number. 3 will go into 10 3 times with 1 left over. And the answer is negative because a negative divided by a positive, the signs are different. The answer is going to be a negative, so the correct answer for this one is D. Number 10, the record low temperature in Franklin, Tennessee is negative 22, and the record high is 104. So what is the difference of the record high and low? So that's just saying 104 minus a negative 22. So using that rule that we did back in number 1, I can rewrite this as plus a positive. Change the sign, change the sign. When you're adding or subtracting, you can change those signs. So really the answer is 126 degrees. That would be the difference there, 104 plus 22. On the back side, number 11, this is combining like terms. Here I can see that I have an A value and an A value. So I can combine those. I have a B value and a B value. I can combine those. So let's do those separately. 23A minus 18A. It's minus because there's a minus in front of the 18. 23 minus 18 is 5. So that's 5A. I'm going to do the same thing here. I have 4B minus 7B. Again, it's minus 7 because there's a minus in front of that 7. So using that previous rule, if you'd like to, if it helps, you can change that to 4B plus a negative 7B. The signs are different. I really need to subtract 4 and 7, and you're going to take the sign of the bigger number. So that's going to make that a negative 3B, or we can write that as minus 3B. 5A minus 3B for number 11. Number 12 is the distributive property. It's asking which one is a true statement. So I'm just going to start at the top and work our way down. All right, A, when I multiply negative 3 times 5x, that definitely gives me negative 15x. That's great. However, when I do negative 3 times negative 6, that should be a positive 18, and that's a negative 18. So that is incorrect. So A is not a true statement. B. So when I go to do B, 7 times 2x is 14x. Again, that checks out great. However, when I go to do 7 times negative 1, that should be a negative 7, and it looks like they forgot to multiply there. B is not the correct answer. On to the next one, negative 6 times 3x. That is definitely negative 18x. That's correct. And negative 6 times negative 10 is a positive 60. That's correct. C is the correct answer on that one. Number 13. Number 13, we're going to write an expression. I'm going to scroll out a little bit for this one. Double checking, making sure I didn't skip anything. I feel like I'm going a little quickly here, but feel free to pause and rewind. Because watch as many times as you need to. In a rectangle, we know the rectangle's opposite sides are equal. So if the left is x plus 7, the right is x plus 7. If the bottom is 3x minus 8, the top is 3x minus 8 as well. Perimeter, that's just the length around something. No reason to use a formula on here. We just know that means I'm going to add up all the sides. You can add in any order. It doesn't matter as long as you're adding, right? Adding is commutative, so whatever order. I'm just going to start with x plus 7. So I know I have the left side plus the right side, right? X plus 7, x plus 7. Those are my two left and right. Now I'm going to add the top and the bottom. The top is 3x minus 8. And the bottom is also 3x minus 8. So make sure you're just adding all four sides. This is similar to the first one we did here on the page, where I can see I have like terms, right? I have x, I have an x, I have a 3x, I have a 3x. I'm going to combine all of those. Remember, there's also understood a 1 in the front of those. Ooh, I meant to do that in pen. There we go. I really know there's a 1 in front of those. So really I'm doing 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 3, which is 8x, right? 8x. Now, as far as the other ones go, all of my constants there, again, just make sure you're carefully doing those in order. 7 plus 7 minus 8. Ooh, that should be a minus right there. I guess I'm going a little too fast. So that should be 3x minus 8. There we go. That's what we write in pencil in Miss Williams' class. Minus 8. So we know that's going to be 14 minus 8 minus 8. 6 minus 8, or negative 2. Make sure you're doing from left to right, right? 14, 6, negative 2. So that's going to be minus 2. So the correct answer to write it in the correct spot would be 8x minus 2 is the expression for that perimeter. Number 14, again, the distributive property, but factoring, right? Factoring is just undoing the distributive property, and it's asking who is correctly doing this task. So we can see here, this is what we started off with. So immediately I know that this first kid is not correct. 9 times 2 is 18, but 9 times 33 is definitely not 42. They added there, so no, he's not right. So if I look at Gabe's and Berkeley's very carefully, I can see they're the same thing, just with different signs. 6 times 3 is definitely 18. 6 times 7 is definitely 42. But I can see in my original problem, that's a negative 42, minus 42. So that means Berkeley is going to be correct on this one. C is the correct answer for 14. Number 15, which of the following is equivalent to? This is, again, another distributive property. So they don't ask me to, but I'm definitely going to go ahead and distribute here to see what I get. Negative 6 times 3x is negative 18x. Negative 6 times positive 6 is positive 36. So I can see immediately 2 definitely works. Now I just got to check the rest of them. But before I do that, I know that I cannot combine these two. Those are unlike terms. 18 has an x, 36 does not. So I cannot add or subtract or whatever, anything to them, like to make them one term. So 3 is definitely not correct. It cannot be 3. So automatically that eliminates C and D. So either it's 2 or it's 1, 2, and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and check 1. If I do the distributive property on 1, negative 3 times 6x is negative 18x, and negative 3 times positive 12 is negative 36. Oops, gosh golly, guys, I did it again. It's late. You're going to have to excuse me. That should be a minus 36. I was just checking. Yes, that should be a minus. I probably said it, but I wrote it down wrong. It is a minus 36. A negative times a positive is definitely a negative. So since 1 works, it would probably be a pretty safe bet that 4 works, and it indeed does. If I go to do the distributive property here, so first of all, that 9 stays in the front. That does give me a negative 18x here. And then negative 9 times 5 is negative 45. And whenever I go to combine my two like terms, like 9 minus 45, that is a positive 9 minus 45. And that, again, I'm actually going to write it correctly this time, would be negative 18x minus 36. So 1, 3, and 4 are all the same value. So A is the correct answer for 15. Okay, so that is the portion, again, you will not be allowed to use a calculator on. Those 15 questions.